For 3 years, mysterious packages had been arriving at the Thompson household, carefully chosen children's books, art supplies that appeared just when the girls had outgrown their old ones, and gift certificates to local stores that somehow always covered exactly what single father Ryan Thompson needed most. The return address was always different, but the handwriting on the cards was consistently elegant, feminine, and signed only "A friend who cares." Ryan had tried everything to discover the identity of their anonymous benefactor. He had questioned neighbors, called the stores where the gift certificates originated, and even hired a private investigator for 2 months. Nothing had provided any leads about who was watching over his family with such thoughtful care. Today felt different, though. The latest package had contained something unprecedented, an invitation to lunch at Maplewood Bistro, with a note that simply read, "It is time we met. I will be wearing a white blouse and mint green skirt. Please bring the girls." So here Ryan was at 32, walking into the cozy restaurant with his 4-year-old twins, Grace and Hope, wondering if he was about to solve the mystery that had puzzled him since his wife Sarah's death. "Daddy, why are we meeting the present lady?" Grace asked, clutching her beloved pink elephant that had been one of the first mysterious gifts to arrive. "I do not know, sweetheart," Ryan replied honestly, scanning the restaurant for a woman matching the description from the note. "There," Hope said, pointing toward a corner booth where a stunning blonde woman in her late 20s sat alone. She wore the exact outfit described in the invitation, a crisp white blouse and an elegant mint green skirt, and was studying the entrance with nervous anticipation. As they approached her table, the woman stood gracefully, and Ryan was struck by something familiar in her features that he could not quite place. "Ryan Thompson?" she asked, her voice warm but uncertain. "That would be me," Ryan confirmed, trying to process the elegant, professional appearance of someone he had imagined might be an elderly neighbor or distant relative. "And you are the mysterious gift giver who has been taking care of my family." "I am Charlotte Williams," she said, extending her hand with a slight tremor that suggested she was as nervous as he was. "I was Sarah's best friend. We worked together at the marketing firm before she got sick." Ryan felt the world shift slightly. Sarah had mentioned Charlotte many times during their marriage, always with deep affection, but they had never met because Charlotte had been living in London, managing the firm's European operations. "Sarah's Charlotte," Ryan said softly, understanding beginning to dawn. "She talked about you constantly, but I thought you were still overseas." "I came back when I learned about Sarah's diagnosis," Charlotte explained, gesturing for them to sit. "But Sarah made me promise not to contact you directly. She said you had enough to worry about without feeling obligated to entertain her friends." Grace and Hope climbed into the booth, studying Charlotte with the frank curiosity that only children possess. "You knew our mommy?" Hope asked in her small, serious voice. Charlotte's eyes immediately filled with tears. "I did, sweetheart. Your mommy was my very best friend, and she told me so many wonderful things about both of you." "Are you the one who sends us the books?" Grace asked, holding up her pink elephant. "And Rosie?" "I am," Charlotte admitted, reaching across the table to gently touch the stuffed animal. "Your mommy and I picked out Rosie together when she was in the hospital. She wanted to make sure you had something special to hold when you missed her." Ryan felt his throat tighten. Sarah knew about the gifts. "She planned the first year's worth of them," Charlotte said quietly. "She made lists of books she wanted the girls to have, toys that would help them through different stages of grief, and practical items she knew you would need but might not think to buy." "And after that first year?" Ryan asked. "After that, I continued on my own," Charlotte replied. "I moved back to the city permanently and took a position here so I could keep watching over you from a distance. Sarah made me promise to take care of her family, but she also made me promise not to interfere with your healing process." Ryan looked at this woman who had been quietly supporting his family for 3 years, asking nothing in return and expecting no recognition. "Why reveal yourself now?" he asked. Charlotte hesitated, then smiled at the twins who were coloring on their children's menus. "Because Grace and Hope are starting kindergarten next month, and I realized they are old enough to understand who their mother was and how much she loved them. I have stories about Sarah that I want to share, photos from our friendship, and memories that belong to them." "Tell us about Mommy," Grace said immediately, setting down her crayon. For the next 2 hours, Charlotte shared stories about Sarah's college adventures, her dreams of becoming a mother, and her excitement when she learned she was having twins. She showed them photos on her phone of Sarah laughing, traveling, and planning for the family she would one day have. "Your mommy used to say that the best gift she could give you was the knowledge that you were wanted and loved even before you were born," Charlotte told the girls. "She spent months picking out your names, decorating your nursery, and dreaming about all the things she would teach you." Ryan found himself seeing Sarah through Charlotte's eyes, not just as his wife or the girl's mother, but as a young woman with ambitions, friendships, and a whole life that had existed before their marriage. "I have something for you," Charlotte said as their lunch wound down, pulling out a wrapped package. "This is from your mommy. She wrote it while she was sick, and she asked me to give it to you when you were old enough to understand." Inside the package was a handwritten journal filled with letters addressed to Grace and Hope for future birthdays, graduations, and milestones. On the first page, in Sarah's familiar handwriting, was a note: "For my beautiful daughters, I may not be there for every important moment, but my love for you will be." Ryan felt tears he had been holding back for 3 years finally begin to fall. "Sarah also wrote something for you," Charlotte said gently, handing him a sealed envelope marked for Ryan, "when you are ready to live again." "I do not know if I am ready," Ryan admitted. "That is okay," Charlotte said. "But Ryan, I want you to know that Sarah's last wish was for you and the girls to be happy. She did not want her death to define your lives." Over the following months, Charlotte became a regular part of their family routine. She shared holidays with them, told bedtime stories about their mother, and helped Ryan navigate the challenges of raising daughters without female guidance. "You know," Charlotte said one evening as they watched Grace and Hope play in the backyard, "Sarah would be so proud of the father you have become." "I had help," Ryan replied, looking at Charlotte with gratitude that had grown into something deeper. "I do not know how we would have managed without your care." "You would have managed beautifully," Charlotte said. "But I am glad I could honor Sarah's memory by helping." "Charlotte," Ryan said carefully, "what you have given us goes far beyond what Sarah asked. You have given the girls a connection to their mother that they never would have had otherwise." "And what you have given me," Charlotte replied, "is the chance to see Sarah's legacy living on in 2 amazing little girls and a father who loves them enough to let a stranger become part of their family." A year later, as Ryan and Charlotte exchanged vows in a simple ceremony with Grace and Hope as flower girls, Ryan reflected on how grief and love could coexist in ways he had never imagined. Charlotte had not replaced Sarah in their hearts. She had helped them understand that love multiplies rather than divides, and that the best way to honor someone's memory is to continue building the kind of life they would have wanted for the people they loved. Sometimes, Ryan realized, the most important angels in our lives are the ones who love us quietly from the shadows until we are strong enough to let them into the light.